Hi guys, and welcome to my first episode of my Break 100 series. This series is going to be designed particularly for beginner golfers to really get you on your way and trying to hit that first milestone, which would be to break 100 on the golf course. Now, this series is going to cover various elements that I believe are probably the most important elements at this stage to try and break 100, but we're just going to take it step by step and look at each element individually and take it from there. Now, I would recommend to any beginner golfer, not just beginners, but any level, get yourself to a PGA Pro. Get yourself some lessons, because ultimately the tips that I'm going to be giving you are very generalized. I can't see you, so what I'm saying may not be particularly relevant to you, but they're certainly not going to do you any harm. But I would recommend get yourself to a PGA Pro, get yourself some lessons. Particularly beginner courses are great if you're at this level where you are looking to break 100. I myself run a Get Into Golf class specifically designed for beginners, where we go through each element of the game, get an understanding, and then get playing some different kinds of shots, and then being able to take that to the golf course at the end of that session. Now, in today's session, we're going to work on our turf interaction. What I mean by that is the interaction between the club, the ball, and the ground. Okay, this is something that a lot of beginner golfers get wrong, and if you get it wrong, it can really start to develop into a bad habit. Okay, what I see a lot of beginner golfers doing is they strike the ground, but they get it in the wrong place in their golf swing. That results in poor shots, and therefore they become fearful of even hitting the ground. Something that we need to do when we've got an iron in particular, we need to be able to let that club drop down and make contact with the ground in order to get good strikes. But what I see a lot from beginner golfers is striking the ground in the wrong place in their golf swing. So if we strike before the golf ball, so kind of behind here, we're going to get some poor strikes. Okay, we're going to hit turf first, the ball's going to travel very little distance and potentially in the wrong direction as well. What we want to try and achieve by this session is to try and get you interacting with the ground, but after the golf ball. So what we're doing is shifting what's called our low point. So the lowest point the club gets to in its arc is going to be after the golf ball. That means that the club is traveling down when you make contact. Okay, now where a lot of beginner golfers fall victim to this kind of fault is they start trying to help the ball into the air. Okay, if you watch good golfers, if you play with good golfers, or you watch golf on telly, you'll see players hitting this lovely high towering shot with their irons, and you think, I want a bit of that. Okay, and this is a habit that a lot of beginners fall into, is they start trying to lift the ball into the air, staying on their back foot, on their trail side, trying to lift the ball up into the air and force it. Okay, now the club has got loft on it. Okay, I've got a 6-iron here. You can see the club face pointing slightly upwards. The loft is going to do your job for you. Okay, that loft is designed to get the ball into the air. It doesn't need your help in doing it. Okay, and by you staying back behind on the trail side, what you're going to do is get that low point behind the golf ball, which is what we do not want. If that low point's behind the golf ball, you're either going to strike it heavy, or fat as we call it, where we strike the ground before the ball goes hardly anywhere, or if we do miss the ground, the club's on its way up, you're going to strike halfway up and potentially top the ball. Okay, getting a very similar result, lacking distance and potentially in a poor direction as well. So what we've got to do to try and get that low point moving forward, I want you to think a little bit about your finish position. Okay, if you watch golf on telly, or you play with good golfers, you'll notice good golfers always have a nice finish position. Now, if you look at me in this finish position here, what do you notice about my feet? I've got the majority of my weight forward on my front foot. This right foot behind me, my trail side, I could almost lift that up off the ground, because I've committed weight forward towards my target. So I'm in that finish position here. There is no weight being hung back on this trail side. Now, a typical sign that a golfer has tried to stay behind it and lift the ball into the air is that I see them in this finish position with their right foot stuck to the ground and lots of weight planted on it. That shows me, that's a great sign that someone has tried to lift the ball into the air, tried to force it. That's not what we want at all. So what I want you to do is I want you to just practice that finish position. I want you to get into that pose with all the weight stacked on that front foot, And that will encourage you to be moving weight forward during the golf swing. Remember, we want to hit down, we want to hit the ground, but we want to make sure that we get the ball first. And if we're hanging back here, we're certainly not going to do that. So let me give it a go. I'm going to try and get my weight moving forward. I'm going to get ball, but I'm also going to strike the mat as well after that golf ball. So I've got my weight all on my front side. You can see here my finish position shows me that I've transferred weight forward towards the target, and I got a fairly decent strike out of it as well. So next time you're on the driving range, I want you to pay close attention to how your finish position is. Have you transferred weight forward onto your lead side and got yourself in a nice finish position, or have you maintained weight on your trail side in an attempt to lift the ball into the air and subsequently had poor strikes because of it? Just something to think about. It's dead simple. Don't worry too much about how much ground you're hitting at this stage. This is all about weight transfer, not trying to force the ball up into the air, letting the loft on the club do its job. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please do smash the like button down below. Really helps. If you're interested in some of my Get Into Golf classes, then please do get in touch. Equally, if you want to have some individual lessons as well, then my social media links are down below also. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss any future golf related content, and I shall see you for episode 2 next week.